Today, NATO leaders agreed that we must and will provide further support to Ukraine. We will continue to impose unprecedented costs on Russia, and we will reinforce allied deterrence and defense. Leaders approved our 4 new battle groups in Bulgaria, Hungary, Romania and Slovakia. These are in addition to the 4 already in the Baltic countries and Poland. So we have 8 multinational NATO battle groups now.
Luke Coffey is a director of Douglas and Sarah Allison Centre for Foreign Policy at the Heritage Foundation, and he joins us now from Washington, D.C. Luke, thanks for being back on the NewsHour. We heard from the NATO chief Jens Stoltenberg. He seemed to be treading a very fine line between trying to appear militarily strong, that the alliance can resist Russia's continuing aggression in the region, but not wanting to send troops onto the ground for fear of sparking a broader conflict. Do you think NATO has struck the right balance?
Thanks for having me back on the show. I do believe we're striking the right balance, and it is a difficult balancing act that Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg has to perform. But we should understand that as Ukraine not being a member of NATO, unfortunately for them, they don't receive the benefits of NATO membership. They don't receive that mutual defense from the other members of the alliance. But the world isn't black or white. There's a huge policy space in between deploying the U.S. 82nd Airborne Division to Ukraine and then doing nothing at all. We need to be in that middle ground. I think that's where we are right now, and there's more that we can do, but I think we are heading in the right direction.
How do you think Russia will be reacting to what it heard from NATO today?
With the usual bluster that we've been hearing from the Kremlin, falsehoods, half-truths, propaganda. They're still talking about the fact that their so-called special military operation is on time and on schedule to achieve the objectives. The Russian people are told through their media that most of the military activity is taking place just in Luhansk and Donetsk and denazifying that region, when the whole world can see what is happening across the whole country of Ukraine. So there's not much that Russia really can do, because for the same reason we are not going to start striking, we being NATO, will not start striking Russian targets inside Ukraine for fear of the spiraling into World War III. The Russians are not going to start targeting NATO forces outside Ukraine for the same reasons. So they're really stuck in a difficult position.
What's the end game then, do you think, for Russia? If NATO is doing enough to keep it contained, where does Vladimir Putin go from here?
Well, this remains to be seen, because we are in completely uncharted territory in geopolitics, especially in terms of the transatlantic community. Anything is possible at this point. I think that while NATO has been doing a good job supporting the Ukrainians with weapons and intelligence and munitions, there's even more that we can do and we should be doing. And I think in the next week or two, Russian policymakers and Russian political elites are going to have to start asking themselves some tough questions if this operation is worth it or not. NATO estimates place the number of Russian killed, wounded, captured, or missing soldiers at 40,000 in 1 month. Let's just say that this is half off. Let's just say it's half that number. It's still extraordinary. It's still twice as many that were killed during the 1980s when the Soviet Union was in Afghanistan for a decade. These losses are going to start mounting up, and the economic pressure from sanctions will start mounting up in the coming weeks.
Just finally, perhaps in order to maintain some sort of sense of stability, during this extraordinary meeting, Jens Stoltenberg was elected for his term to be extended as NATO boss. Do you think he's been an effective leader of the alliance?
I think that Jens Stoltenberg is one of the most capable and astute statesmen in Europe and the transatlantic community today. He's been able to navigate a number of complicated issues in terms of the internal relationship of NATO among different member states, dealing with Russia's aggression in Ukraine. He was able to navigate very carefully and skillfully the Trump years when it came to the U.S. administration at the time and NATO. So I think he's done a credible job. That doesn't mean I want him to stay on for life. I think, given the circumstances, it's probably wise to keep him on for continuity. But I think there's also a younger generation, a newer generation, especially from Central and Eastern European NATO member states, who have the potential to do great things for NATO as well someday as Secretary General.
Luke, Coffey, we always appreciate your analysis here on TRT World. Thank you for your time on the NewsHour.
Thank you.